My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. I'm on a mission to share my plant knowledge with you so that you can have more success in your own yards. In this video, I'm going to share with you some really useful tips and tricks so that you can plant those summer purchases that you just cannot live without. Let's go. Every summer we are faced with beautiful plants in full flower at nurseries and garden centres. And do we buy them? If we plant them in the summer, will they die? Well, the answer is they won't. And it is worth finding those choice plants. This is a spectacular plant called Schizophragma. I know the name's a little intimidating, but I rarely see this for sale. And when I found it, it's mid-June. Well, of course you can plant in the summer, but I'm going to show you this fantastic technique. Now, when you have a plant that you want to put in the ground in the summer, first of all, make sure that the roots are not in any way spiraling or wrapping around each other, or that the plant is root bound. If it is, don't buy it, put it back. This is a dahlia, this is perfect. Put it back in the pot and then add water to a little flat tray. And what you're going to do is create an environment where the root ball can fully hydrate. And this is the root ball after 10 minutes of standing in a couple of inches of water. It's a good idea if you add a bit of soluble fertilizer to that same water. And you can see here that after 10 minutes, we've got probably about a third of that root ball has gone a dark color. Now, not only is it the growing medium that we can see that's absorbed water, but the entire core, that whole bottom third, is now fully hydrated. Now you put it back in that tray and let the magic of capillary action, this is the ability for water to creep up through all the little tiny pore spaces against gravity and rehydrate that root ball. Now I cannot stress this enough. You should use this technique any time of year, but in summer it's spectacularly successful. Here we are with a total of 25 minutes in a tray, and now we've got 50% of the root ball is completely rehydrated, and you can see it draining, it's busy dripping out. Now this rehydration means that when you add water to it in the future, that water can be readily absorbed. It's not bone dry. Here we are, 45 minutes total time in the tray. All the water's gone, well, the majority of it. And this root ball is still intact. It hasn't collapsed because it's in good condition. And we've got dark coloration right the way to the top of the pot. As it starts to drain, that water will go into the planting pit. So this is very, very desirable. Now you can do this with anything. You can do it with roses, hydrangeas, vegetables, anything in a pot. You can stick in a little tray, give it some water, just 2 or 3 inches of water, and let it stand there for half an hour. And it will fully and gradually rehydrate. When it comes time to dig your hole, don't skimp. You've bought a nice plant, it's blazing hot outside, you have rehydrated the root ball. Dig a nice size hole, nice and wide. I like to use this technique where I use the pot as a guide. This way I set it at the right level, not too high, not too deep. And then I can very easily put my plant in there without damaging the roots, without compacting the soil, and without damaging the shoots. And whenever you do this sort of process, do it all in one day. Rehydrate the root ball, plant it, and irrigate it with a hose. And then make sure you go back and water it all over again 10 minutes later. This plant has got so much water available to it that it can't help but grow. Now you will need to keep on watering it occasionally through the summer, but that's easy. Now this next subject is a fig. It's a nice fig. You might have a plant in a pot that you want to upgrade. Get some good slow release fertilizer. Get a potting mix of your choice. And this particular plant is a fig called Cooke. It's a good variety. The plant is not pot bound, but it does have a few weeds in that top inch or so. So take a few minutes to remove those. And this plant has got a bit of a twist in it. I remember when I potted this up, it had a huge root and it tilted to one side. Your trick is to make sure that you put it into a pot that's about 2 inches wider on all sides. This adds a huge amount of volume to for the plant to grow into. Add 9 parts of your potting mix to 1 part of your garden soil, and then add your slow-release fertilizer. Mix it up thoroughly, squashing any lumps and bumps, remove any stones. Now, because this plant is a little bit lopsided, if I twist it in its pot, I could probably straighten it. That seems like a pretty good idea. That's what I'm going to try and do. But as with my method with the dahlia, I'm going to take the plant out of the pot, put it aside, and use the pot as a guide. What this does is allows me to gently work soil into, well, my mix into all sides of the pot without compacting it and without damaging the plant, because the plant's not in the way. A little bit of a shake, and you'll see that I've now got this nice, perfect planting pocket when I remove the pot. And because it was in there on a slight tilt, it means that I can rectify the majority of the tilt that was in that plant just by putting it in the hole in the angle. There we go. And then I can use the rest of my backfill to go around. Now the amount of backfill I'm putting on top of the root ball is probably 1/2 inch. I'm not lifting it high and I'm not dropping it down low. It's got 1.5 inches or so to the lip of the pot, and that way I can flood it full of water. Whenever you do this sort of thing, choose your soluble fertilizer of choice. 2 capfuls to a watering can, and then very slowly just water the plant and the backfill. Wait 10 minutes, then come back and do it again. This repetitive watering really is part of the secret to hydrating the root ball. The problem with this is that they can get heavy, and not everybody's going to want to put their large pot into a lid like I have here. This has come off my recycling bin. Now, you won't get the elevation that we saw in the dahlia. You've got to put in 3 or 4 inches of water into this big lid. And if we can get water climbing up in half an hour or 45 minutes to just over halfway, that is exceptional. It won't go all the way to the top. But if you've got yourself a big lid like this, and you've got a number of plants that you've potted on, or some plants that you want to put in the ground, there's no reason why you can't put them in the big lid altogether. And they can just happily sit there, rehydrating and vitalizing, ready to go in the ground. Here's our tomato, and we'll put in our pepper as well. So thank you so much for watching this. My name is Ian. I love doing these videos. I hope you get out there and go and plant something and have it flower for you.